Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this, because today we're unpacking some truly monumental shifts happening in the 2026 global electric vehicle landscape. We're looking at a global transition that's moving faster and evolving in way more unexpected directions than pretty much anyone predicted just a few years ago.
To really grasp the magnitude of what's happening, you have to consider the massive scale of the global auto trade. Think about the sheer volume of vehicles moving across the oceans right now on giant shipping vessels. We aren't just talking about a niche environmental movement anymore. No, we are talking about a fundamental rewiring of heavy industry, global manufacturing, and international trade lines.
And that brings us to this staggering figure, 20 million. In 2025, a record-breaking 20 million electric cars were sold globally. That's a 20% growth over the previous year. To put that into perspective, it means literally 1/4 of all new cars sold anywhere on the planet last year were electric. We have officially moved out of the early adopter phase and into massive global scale.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The energy crisis catalyst. 2. Record-breaking global sales. 3. Heavy-duty vehicles go electric. 4. The shift in global trade. And finally, 5. AI and tomorrow's EVs.
Section 1. The Energy Crisis Catalyst and How Oil Prices Accelerate EV Adoption.
It's a historical fact that global conflicts and energy instability often force massive shifts in transport, right? Well, the crucial point is how this geopolitical reality hits the economics of everyday driving. On one hand, we're seeing massive macroeconomic displacement. The global fleet of EVs avoided the consumption of around 1.7 million barrels of oil per day in 2025. On the other hand, we're seeing surging economic security for consumers. For example, because of recent oil price spikes, the European Union saw a 35% growth in annual fuel cost savings for EV drivers compared to the year before. And for corporate fleets driving long distances, those savings are even larger. This dual benefit, national energy security combined with consumer cost savings, explains exactly why this shift is accelerating so rapidly.
Section 2. Record-breaking global sales and a regional breakdown of the EV boom.
And this brilliantly illustrates the regional disparities, which are honestly fascinating. Notice how China is absolutely dominating the established markets, with EVs capturing a massive 55% of all new car sales there. Europe is also showing incredible strength, jumping 30% in sales to hit a 28% total market share, mostly driven by stricter CO2 standards. Meanwhile, the United States remain relatively stable, with EVs capturing just under 10% of total car sales.
But, if we only look at the US, Europe, and China, we're missing one of the most exciting parts of this whole explainer. The real frontier for explosive growth right now is actually happening outside those established markets, specifically in emerging economies.
The numbers here are just wild. In Southeast Asia, EV sales literally more than doubled in 2025 to capture nearly a fifth of the total market. This was led by incredibly rapid adoption in Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand. Latin America is on a similar trajectory, growing by 75%, spearheaded by Brazil and Mexico. So what's the catalyst for all this explosive growth? It's the arrival of highly affordable imports, mostly from China, which have completely lowered the price barrier. Actually, in Thailand, for instance, electric car prices have been on par with internal combustion cars for the past 2 years. That's a tipping point many experts thought was still a decade away.
Moving on to Section 3. Heavy-duty vehicles go electric, disrupting the trucking industry.
1 million. Think about that for a second. Based on current policies, electric trucks alone are projected to avoid consuming 1 million barrels of oil per day by 2035. That is a massive operational shift for the second largest oil-consuming transport mode in the world.
So how is this happening so fast? Well, globally, electric trucks captured 9% of total sales in 2025. But in China, sales doubled last year. That means 1 in 4 new trucks sold there is now electric. The reason boils down to pure economics. Rapidly falling battery prices mean the total cost of ownership, that's the upfront price plus fuel and maintenance, for an electric truck in China is already competitive with diesel. Europe is following closely, expecting to reach total cost parity by 2030, and they've already built out over 1,000 dedicated heavy-duty charging points just to support electric long-distance trucking.
Section 4. The Shift in Global Trade and China's Export Dominance. Here's a stat that pretty much defines the auto industry today. Nearly 75% of all electric cars produced globally in 2025 came out of China.
The data tells a really clear story here.
And it's a story of intense, cutthroat domestic competition. Because the Chinese market is so crowded and contested, automakers there are facing squeezed profit margins. That's pushing them to aggressively expand their exports overseas. Just look at the stats. Chinese electric car exports doubled to over 2.5 million vehicles last year. EVs now make up 35% of all cars exported from China. And, perhaps most tellingly, if you look at countries outside of Europe and the United States, 55% of all their EV imports are now sourced from China. That's up from less than 5% just 5 years ago. They are completely dominating emerging market trade.
Let's move to our final section. Section 5. AI and tomorrow's EVs, the digital layer.
We've talked about the hardware, the global trade, the energy grids, but the true future of the EV is shifting toward the digital layer. We're officially entering the era of software-defined vehicles, or SDVs. The electric car of tomorrow is evolving beyond just a battery on wheels. It's becoming a highly connected, artificially intelligent platform. Major automakers are developing vehicles with centralized control architectures. This means using AI for better battery management, enabling seamless remote updates, and powering advanced driver assistance systems. Honestly, think of it less like a car and more like a smartphone that just happens to weigh 2 tons and can drive you to the grocery store.
And hey, this isn't science fiction anymore. Fully autonomous, driverless electric taxis are already operating commercially in more than 20 cities around the world right now. But this incredible advancement comes with a catch. To make an AI-driven vehicle work, you need increasingly powerful computing chips and sensors. That creates a heavy new reliance on global semiconductor supply chains, which, as we know, are already highly geographically concentrated. Furthermore, turning a car into a rolling computer introduces an urgent, critical need for stringent cybersecurity management that the auto industry has frankly never had to navigate at this scale before. Because, let's face it, a hacked laptop is an inconvenience, but a hacked car at 70 miles per hour, that's a serious physical threat.
Which leaves us with this absolutely crucial question to ponder. We've seen the massive economic scale of the EV transition today. But as our transportation grid becomes fully electric, fully autonomous, and completely software-defined, how will we secure the digital infrastructure that keeps the entire world moving? It's a complex, fascinating challenge, and it is definitely the next great frontier for the global auto industry. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this gave you a clear, structured look at exactly where the world of mobility is heading.